Hey guys, this is a quick video to tell you a bit about today's deployment. So we've got the version history just that way. So we've added the ability to drag and drop textures onto material properties. Woohoo! And we've added the ability to disable textures individually. So I know some of you have been waiting for this. So I'll just show you how that works. So we've got trusty old Luna. So the initial view of the material properties hasn't changed, so you'll recognize all of this. And let me just change the model to specular glossiness. So I've got some textures here. So normally I would shade her using a material file, and that material file would bring in all the assets. Let me just show you that quickly. So costume. So the material file would give us the shader name, the model, a bunch of textures, and the values that go into each of these parameters. So you can still do that. That's still the quickest way to dump a whole load of data into the scene at once. So you can put all of your textures in one go. So if you're kind of recreating a scene that you've already created, then that's definitely still the quickest way to do it. But what you can do now as well is drag the textures onto each parameter individually. So you can drop the diffuse color, the glossiness. So the glossiness texture is like we just need a single channel texture, but you can drop an RGB and we convert that to a grayscale image. And specular. So this UI has changed a little bit. So the checkerboard kind of tells you that you're using a texture on this parameter, and you can turn off that texture by clicking on the eye. So you can turn it back on. So you can have the base color, that's multiplied by the texture. If I remove the texture, we just have the base color. Let's put that back to white. So with the specular, if I hide the texture and make the specular white, we'll have a lot of spec. And then if I re-enable the texture, you can see that's been multiplied by the incoming texture. So we reduce that down. And then glossiness, if I hide that texture, put that to 1, you can see it's very glossy. And then we re-enable the texture. Let's just turn on the base color so it's easy to see. So that's with the texture and without. And so you can also drag in textures onto the other parameters. So the transmission weight, the emissive color, the subsurface weight, and the normal map. And we're going to be adding to the docs a chart that shows you which ones are RGB, which ones are RGBA, and which ones are just grayscale. So I'll post a link to that when that's up. Okay, so that's the textures. We've added the ability to kick yourself out if you're already logged in elsewhere. So you can actually be logged into Pocket Studio from the same type of device with the same username twice or more, but you can't access the same project because that would totally confuse the kind of version history. So you're only allowed to log in from the same type of device to the same project once, but previously you had no control over where you were logged in. So let's say you logged in at work and you forgot to log out. of the project, and then you got home and you wanted to access the project, you wouldn't be allowed in. So now what will happen, I will demonstrate to you. It's just loading in the other window, 1 second. So it's loaded in with the same user, and then I try and access the project and it says you're already connected, so what's next? So then I can choose to kick out the other user, and I'll get a message saying connection lost, you'll be redirected. So if I go back in, so that's pretty cool. What's next? Increase memory size on Android. Yes, so if you're using the mobile app and you've got slightly larger scenes, you were a bit restricted, but we've upped that limit now, so go nuts. Fix the bug with material file loading, so absolute paths in the textures now work. Yes, so before we had a bug loading absolute paths, but they now work. So that's the paths. I've lost the file. That's the paths in the material file, essentially. I'm sure you all know what absolute and relative paths are. These guys. Oh yeah, just a note on that. Backslashes, single backslashes won't work because they, in C++ they will escape the string. So when we're ingesting this JSON file, it will get to a backslash and go, oh, I'm looking for it's not a special character if it's just a single slash, so it's like, oh, I need to leave the string, and then it will get very confused. So if you have backslashes, they need to be double backslashes. Forward slashes are fine. We will be adding a feature later where you can use single backslashes, but in the future. What's next? Fix the bug causing RTX to not refresh when lights are moved. Yeah, so if I just add a light, direct it kind of down, just turn off the sky so it's not confusing. Make that a bit brighter. So yeah, before, if I changed that strength before, it wouldn't have updated the high quality mode. So if I jump into high quality, I can now change the strength, and that's updating live. It's refreshing. Before it wouldn't refresh, so it was just cumulative. So now that's changing in real time, that's all good. And another fix on the list is we've fixed the angular size. So that's now in degrees. It was confusingly in radians earlier, but that's now back in degrees. So you can get nice soft shadows, nice and easy. What else? Added a feature to ensure blobs aren't corrupted. Fixed all importers when file path contains Unicode characters. Yeah, so if your file path in Explorer had Unicode characters, an import wouldn't work. So if you tried to drag and drop an FBX from a folder that had Unicode characters in the name, then it wouldn't work. But now it does. And that's the one I just spoke about. So that's everything. So yeah, have a play with it and let us know if you run into any problems. We're, as always, here to help, and we'll get you sorted if you do run into problems.